Namaste and good evening. This is the second video that I'm making. Yesterday evening, I posted a video that I made in Nepali language. This time, I decided to speak something in English. So, in this video, I'm going to narrate the story of how I learned the English language. Let me begin from the beginning. I was born, brought up, and educated in India, in North India. My schooling was from a government school in North India. I was in my school in 1970s, or let's say mid 80s. In those days, we did not have English as a subject in primary school. So the first time I got to study English was in class 6. I learned writing the English alphabet in class 6. I still remember the classroom. It was on the top floor of the school building. It was actually not a room but a veranda without any doors and windows, but just a ceiling and floor with desks and benches. My first English teacher's name was Om Prakash Singh. He used to put on white khadi kurta and pajama. He was a young teacher, brown complexioned, lean and thin. He had mustache, dark black mustache. He was enthusiastic and active teacher. He taught me how to write the English alphabet. I still remember how he taught me to form the letters. He would ask us to buy a very special type of writing pen. He called it, or let's say we called it, Ginip pen. There were two parts of the writing pen: a wooden stick handle, let's say, and at the end of the bar, he had to fix a nib, and then we would dip it into the ink bottle and we would form letters in a four-lined notebook. He would hold my hand, my fingers, and he would guide me to make the curves and bendings and lines of different letters. I still remember his instruction. He said, do not lift your little finger from the page until you finish complete writing your word. He would recommend writing in cursive style, and he took a lot of pain to teach his students how to write properly. He emphasized that your handwriting should be beautiful, legible. He was a demanding teacher. He was a bit strict in the sense that he expected us to meet his expectation of standard. So he would hold our hand, he would hold our fingers and help us learn to form the letters. This is how I learned to write the English alphabet in class 6. And this is how I first came across the English language in grade 6. I do not remember much about the English textbook. I guess we had some essays and stories in our English textbook. Many of them were written by Indian writers like R.K. Narayan. When we came to class 9, then there was a provision that not everybody would be allowed to opt with English, major English I mean. One had to study compulsory English, but not everyone was allowed to go with major English. So there was a sort of filtering. We had to face an interview where our teachers would test our level of English, our abilities, and then they will decide whether we can study major English or not. I appeared for the test and fortunately I got selected. So I studied major English class in class 9 and 10. I do not remember much about the content. What I remember, an important turning point in my life as a student was in grade 11. When I passed high school and joined grade 11, we got a new teacher as our class teacher. He was a giant figure, very robust personality, wearing white kurta, khadi kurta, and white dhoti. And sometimes he would wear pointed shoes or sandals. And he would always hold a bag in his arms. He never left this bag, and we always wondered what was there in that bag that he never left. And there was a rumor among us that our class teacher had a pistol in his bag for his personal security. And this rumor made us quite scared of our class teacher. But he was a very loving fellow. He taught us Hindi. The book that he taught us was Kavyanjali. It was a textbook in compulsory Hindi subject. He was a very strict but kind and loving teacher. So he would make us stand up and read aloud almost every day. He would ask us to read a text. One day, he said something that really inspired me to learn English. One day he came to a class and for some reason there was a talk about English language in Hindi class. And he spoke in Hindi and said, देखो लड़कों, अगर तुम्हें अंग्रेजी सीखनी है तो तुम्हें अंग्रेजी में सपना देखना चाहिए. अगर तुम अंग्रेजी में सपना देख सकते हो तो सोच लो कि तुमको अंग्रेजी आएगी. और अगर तुम्हें 3 दिन के भीतर ये सपना आया तो तुम अंग्रेजी बोल लोगे, तुमको अंग्रेजी बोलना आ जाएगा. अगर तुमने 3 दिन के भीतर ये सपना नहीं देखा अंग्रेजी में, तो तुम्हें जीवन में कभी भी अंग्रेजी भाषा नहीं आएगी. I was listening to him very carefully in the class, and I felt like his words were Bible, God's words. That evening at 4, the bell rang, the closing bell. We left the classrooms for home, and on the way, I was busy thinking about what he said. And I truly believed that what my teacher has said must be very true, must be true. I have no doubt to what he said, that if I can dream in English within 3 days, I'll be able to speak English in the future. And on the way, I began to think, I began to wish for an English dream. I just called my God in my mind, and I prayed on the way. I made prayers to God that, oh God, please give me one dream in English so that I might learn speaking English. That night when I went to bed, my father had taught me some slokas that I should recite when I went to bed, some slokas to recite when I woke up in the morning. For example, the sloka that I would recite while going to bed was Jale Rakshatu Baraha Sthale Rakshatu Bhamana, and I don't remember the next line. The meaning was that, oh God, you protect me on land or in water. Then in the morning, when I would wake up, my father taught me to look on my palm and just recite another Sanskrit mantra or sloka, like Karagre Basate Lakshmi, Karamadde Saraswati, Karamule tu Govinda, Prabhate Kardarsanam. My father taught a number of good habits. So I went to bed with that mantra, and just I prayed God with my closed eyes that, God, please give me a dream in English tonight. Then I fell asleep, and as I woke up next morning, the first thing that struck my mind was, where is my dream? And I actually didn't have an English dream. And we often forget the dreams we have. We just recall some broken images. Rarely do we remember the whole story of the dream. So I didn't remember much, but I was sure that I didn't have a dream in English. So I was sad. I came to school, and during the daytime, I wouldn't speak much to my friends. I was silent, and whole day I was praying God that one day is gone, only 2 days are left. So please, God, give me an English dream tonight. And then the next day I came home with the faith that tonight God would give me my first English dream. I went to bed with the same mantra and made a serious prayer to God that please give me a dream in English language. But unfortunately, as I woke up next morning, I realized that I didn't have the dream. And I felt a bit, I felt sad. I felt frustrated because I thought that my teacher has given me 3 days to have the English dream, and 2 days have gone and I couldn't have the dream. So I was afraid that I will lose this opportunity to learn speaking English language. I felt like my teacher had made a prophecy, because for me, my teacher was next to God. Then I was more dejected in the class. I looked gloomy, and I kept thinking whole day. I was lost in my own thoughts. And I was worried and anxious whether I will have dream or not, because I had only one day left. The third day I came home. Then in the evening, late night, I went to bed, and I made special prayers to God, to goddesses, especially to Goddess Durga, because she is our family deity. We often rely on her when we are in trouble. So I called Goddess Durga, I called other gods and goddesses, and with my palm, a namaste pose, and eyes closed, I prayed God to give me my first English dream. And I don't know when I fell asleep. When I woke up next morning, the first thing I did, I strained my mind to recall what dream I had. And I realized, oh, I had a dream tonight. This was my first English dream. And, in my first English dream of my life, I was in a cinema hall, movie theater in my dream. And I was watching a movie. On the silver screen in my dream, I see that there are some characters doing something. I do not exactly remember who those characters were, but what I remembered was that the people on the screen were speaking English. I was not speaking English in my dream, but the people in my dream, they were speaking English. And I didn't recall what exactly they were saying, but I was pretty sure this was a dream about speaking English. I was overjoyed. It gave me courage. It gave me new hope. It gave me new life, that now I can speak English. Then with joy and happiness, with renewed energy, I came to my class and I told my teacher. We used to call our Hindi teacher as Guruji. We never use the word sir or teacher to our teachers. We used to speak in Hindi, so I said, Guruji, आज तो मैंने सपना देखा हिंदी में, अंग्रेजी में. He said, क्या देखा? He had a very stern voice and stern attitude with big, bending mustache. But he was a kind person at the heart. He said, क्या सपना देखा? I said, आज मैं सपने में जो है किसी सिनेमा हॉल में था और वहाँ स्क्रीन पर कोई अंग्रेजी बोल रहा था. Then he patted on my back like this and he said, शाबाश, तुमको जो है अंग्रेजी बोलना आ जाएगा. And today, as I make this video in English, I trust that teacher. I feel like he came in my life as a God. I feel like my teacher had that divine element, that divine power. He could predict my future. He predicted back in 1986 that one day I'd speak English. And today, as I'm talking to you, I'm speaking English. So what I mean is that, in my case, one factor that really contributed in learning English has been my teacher's motivation, my teacher's inspiration. Though I wanted to learn speaking English, but if that Hindi teacher had not said, अगर तुमको 3 दिन के भीतर अंग्रेजी में सपना आ गया तो तुम जो है जीवन में अंग्रेजी बोलोगे, और नहीं आया तो नहीं बोलोगे. As a child, I took this statement literally as a kind of warning. And you can just imagine how hankering I felt, the longing I had, the intense desire I had to have my first dream in English. So I have spoken 20 minutes by now. I do not want to make this video too long. I just started telling you the story of how I began learning English, and I told you the first episode. And the main idea in this episode was that as a learner, you need to be motivated intrinsically or extrinsically. You need to have very supporting, loving, kind, inspiring teacher. I don't know if my Hindi teacher, Mr. Saudar Pandey, used to speak English. I never heard him speaking English. He was the teacher of Hindi language and literature. But a teacher of Hindi language could inspire his student to learn speaking English. And in the next episode that I will upload, maybe tomorrow morning or tomorrow evening, I will narrate further how I developed or how I began to learn English. The purpose of making this video and sharing this over Facebook is to share an idea about how students learn language, for example. My story shows that the fundamental thing in learning is inspiration. The fundamental thing in learning is curiosity. My teachers चैलेंज, अगर तुम्हें 3 दिन में अंग्रेजी में सपना आया तो तुम्हें अंग्रेजी बोलना आएगा. This challenge instilled in me unimaginable curiosity. And somewhere I heard that there is no better teacher than curiosity. So I'm grateful to Mr. Saudar Pandey, my English teacher in grade 11 and 12, my Hindi teacher in grade 11 and 12, as well as my class teacher, for sowing that seed of English language. My father is a scholar of Sanskrit language. Sanskrit is my family language. We speak and practice Sanskrit in family. I too can read and interpret and explain Sanskrit, but I don't speak Sanskrit fluently, but I understand. And I had no one at home speaking English. I had no one as a source of inspiration. But that Hindi teacher inspired me to speak English. So I end this video saying that inspiration, motivation from a teacher, and curiosity are the most important factors that determine how fast you learn something. I learned English. I learned speaking English because I had a very motivating, very inspiring teacher who instilled intense curiosity in me to learn speaking English. Thank you and namaste for watching me, listening to me. You can leave a comment in the comment box, and in the next episode I will tell further my story. Thank you.